Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about this new little eyeshadow palette from Laura Mercier. And one thing that I have found over the past couple months is that there have been quite a few companies of different kinds that have released new eyeshadow palettes with cleaner ingredients and that have worked fine for me and that haven't irritated my eyes at all. So I've been really happy about that. And I think that of those palettes, that one of the ones that I have liked the most is this little palette from Laura Mercier. I think that the colors are really nice and that it has gone on really smoothly and prettily for me. And I think that it's a palette that could work really well for pretty much anyone who wears makeup, and that the case is very cute, and that it's a nice enough product, and it only costs $30, that I'm really thinking of picking up a couple of them and giving them out as Christmas gifts myself. So I thought that I would let you know about this now while the product is still on the Laura Mercier website. I'm not sure how long it will be there. So what I will be doing today is using this palette as the basis for a quick 10-minute makeup look using almost all Laura Mercier products. Now, Laura Mercier is a brand that in the past they have had a particularly problematic ingredient list for the most part, and I haven't been able to use any of their products at all. But I think over the past 18 months or so, they've released quite a few quite good products that have worked well for me, and some of those are ones that I haven't talked about yet on this channel, so I thought that this would be a good opportunity to do this also. And I shoot all of my videos in natural light, so you will be able to hopefully see all the colors as they will appear in the real world. So first, a little bit of information about me. I'm 59 years old and I have dry, sensitive skin. There are a number of ingredients that I find always irritate my skin, so I avoid products that have those ingredients in them. In addition, I prefer to have a fairly simple and streamlined makeup look, taking only about 5 or 10 minutes. So those are the kinds of things that I talk about on this channel. And I am looking for products that perform really, really well for me in the context of that, and that do not either show my wrinkles or irritate my very sensitive skin. So now a little bit of information about Laura Mercier. Now, Laura Mercier was a fairly well-known makeup artist who was especially associated with Madonna back in the 1980s and 1990s. And in about the mid-1990s, she started her own makeup company, which became fairly popular and fairly well-known as a company that focused on skin quality, and in particular taking sort of bad American skin and trying to make it look like it was natural and that people weren't wearing too much makeup. The company was purchased by Shiseido at one point, and so it was owned by them for quite a few years, and then in 2021 it was sold off to a private company named Orveon, and it has, their sister companies are both Bare Minerals and Buxom. And it's my feeling that since they've been sold off, that they have been doing a really, really good job of introducing products that have much cleaner ingredient lists and that have been much more appropriate for my own sensitive skin. So I'm really happy to see that. So now let's talk a little bit about this little eyeshadow palette. So this palette is called Japan in Bloom, and it sort of has a cherry blossom type theme to it. So it has all either cherry blossom type colors or neutrals, and there are 8 shades, and it's very small. It's a little bit smaller than my iPhone, and it's in a metal case, so there's no plastic as far as I can tell. And on the front of it and also on the box, there's this little design which has pictures of Paris and New York and Japan. So there's a picture of Mount Fuji and one that looks like it might be Kyoto, and then a few pictures of cherry blossoms. So I'm kind of a fan of Japan. I've been there maybe 5 or 6 times, just really because I really like the country, and I also really like Paris and New York, and those are also places that I've gone to visit a lot, just kind of for enjoyment's sake. So that makes me really attracted to this palette. I kind of feel like Laura Mercier has a fairly big base in Japan because they were owned for Shiseido for so long. And the only advertisements that I have seen about this palette, or the only YouTube videos that I've seen so far, have been ones that have been in Japanese. So I think that they just introduced this on their website in the US. I don't know if they're going to have it in any other stores or on Sephora, but I think that it feels very Japanese to me. It feels very streamlined and very elegant and small and very, very usable. And I think that this is something that I could see myself using quite frequently. So in terms of the formula, I was a little bit nervous to buy this product for that reason, because I feel that in a lot of cases, eyeshadow palettes that are considered to be clean beauty have not been very much fun for me to use. They tend to have really hard shadows that are hard to pick up on the brush and hard to blend, or the colors are not very attractive. So I was thinking in particular of some of the palettes from Bare Minerals that I do feel it have been that way for me. So even though this seems like it's a color story that looks like it should work for me, I haven't really wanted to use this particular palette at all. So I was a little afraid that maybe they were just using that same formula. But as it turns out, this has worked so much better for me. I feel that these eyeshadows are very soft, and they pick up very nicely on the brush, and that they go on really smoothly. And that at least when I've been wearing my new Pat McGrath eyeshadow primer, that they have clung to my eyes really well and looked really pretty, and that they've lasted for quite a while. So I've been very happy about that. I do feel like compared to some of the eyeshadow formulas that I have used that have been really high-end, so I'm thinking things like Pat McGrath or Lisa Eldridge, that these are a little bit softer, and that there's a little bit more fallout, or in some cases that there's actually been situations where there's been like a small clump that has fallen out of the palette. But considering that it's only $30 and that it is going on my eyes really well, I am really happy about the performance of it. It is the case that the usage life for this is only 6 months. Now, I'm not sure why that is. I am kind of doubtful that they are worried that there's going to be some kind of microbial contamination. That's usually not a big issue for powder products, but it might be the case that once they get a little bit drier, that maybe they won't perform as well and they'll start to be harder. I'm not sure about that. But in this case, I feel like maybe I can get enough usage out of this palette in 6 months that it might not be that much of an issue. And I think that it'll be useful for more than 6 months anyway. And I personally am not all that great at putting on eyeshadows, which is one of the things that I'm really excited about with this palette, because what I have found is that every time I have used this palette so far, I think it's created a kind of a really lovely look regardless of what I've done. So I'm really enthusiastic about palettes that are not going to be ones that are really going to be easy to mess up. And particularly when we get into the pinks, then I worry a little bit about, oh, is this going to make me look like I have allergies? So in this case, I feel like all of these colors are really neutral, and I think that they would work fairly well in a variety of skin tones. There's some dark colors here, but in general, I think that they create a very pretty look very easily, and that everything that I've done has been really wearable. So in terms of the ingredient list, unlike most of the mainstream eyeshadows that have been released up until the past couple months, they don't have any aluminum powder, no Teflon, no talc, no synthetic colors, and no fragrance. So I'm really, really happy about that. They do contain a little bit of silicone. I don't personally think that that's an issue at all in eyeshadows. And the one thing that they do contain is phenoxyethanol, which is a preservative, and that one does not seem to bother me at all. But if that's something that bothers you, then this does contain some of that. And I haven't found that this product has irritated my eyes at all. I think it's been perfectly fine. So even though I have a whole bunch of eyeshadows now, and a lot of them are really expensive, I feel myself really drawn to using this palette on a regular basis, just because it's so small and it's so easy and it's so hard to mess up. And I think it really looks pretty. So even though I've really never used too many pink eyeshadows ever, I'm really finding this one to be very usable and kind of fun. So yesterday I shot some footage of myself putting on some eyeshadow using this palette and then using that as the basis for a full makeup look. So I'm going to go ahead and insert that footage, and then I'll talk a little bit about each of these products as I show you the footage. So the first one is the Pat McGrath IntensifEyes eyeshadow primer. This is brand new from Pat McGrath. It's $32. I've not had very good luck with eyeshadow primers in the past. I found that almost all of them irritate my eyes and have always used just a liquid concealer with good ingredient lists like the Kosas Revealer Concealer, but I've actually found this one to be good. I don't feel like the ingredient list was all that promising. There were a few ingredients in it that I wasn't sure about, but it has not really irritated my eyes at all. I haven't noticed there being any problems at all. I think it actually might be protecting my eyes from some of the irritating ingredients that might be in other eyeshadows. And I really like the way that it performs. I think that it puts a nice tacky little base on my eyelids so that the eyeshadows go on more nicely, and I think that they last longer. So I've been really happy about that, and I can see myself continuing to use this product in the future. And because this is a quick makeup look, I am just using my Jones Road eyebrow pencil. This is a product that I feel is the one eyebrow pencil that I can use on its own without actually adding a gel to it because it has little fibers in it. So it creates kind of a plausible look that takes almost no time at all. And then usually I put on a little bit of some kind of a corrector under my eyes. So this time I'm using one of my favorite correctors, which is the Bobbi Brown corrector stick. And I have that in the shade Light Bisque. So what it's doing is just correcting a little bit for the dark circles under my eyes, so I don't feel like I need to use as much foundation in that area. And I also put on a little bit of the Bobbi Brown Skin Concealer Stick, which is pretty much exactly the same formula as the corrector, except this is what I use on the rest of my face. And so that's in the shade Warm Ivory. And that is one of my favorite concealers. I did a whole video on concealers, and I realized that this Bobbi Brown one is actually on a per gram basis. The most expensive one on the market, even more expensive than that little Tom Ford concealer stick that costs $60. But I have found that this has lasted quite a long time for me. I have not even used up one of either of these sticks so far, and I use it all the time. So I am not real concerned about the cost. And then a few months ago, I did a whole video on this new foundation from Laura Mercier, which is called the Real Flawless Weightless Perfecting Foundation. And I found that this product is not too bad for me. I think it has a pretty clean ingredient list. I think that I've been able to wear it, but I think it might be very slightly irritating to my skin, so that makes me a little disinclined to wear it very often. But I do think it's very pretty when I put it on. I think it's better for me in the summer than it was for the winter. It doesn't really have any moisturizing ingredients in it, and I do think it's a little bit on the drying side. But I think it looks nice on my skin. It's very, very thin. It doesn't have any silicone in it. I think that it has performed pretty well for me. So I think that it's an option that people might consider if they're looking for a foundation, and I was happy with the shade match that I got in this. I do think it has a bit of a smell when I first open it and put it on, but I'm not sure what that smell is. It smells a little bit like alcohol, even though there's no alcohol in the foundation as far as I can see. So I'm not sure what the scent is, but in any case, it dissipates pretty quickly. And other than that, I feel like it looks nice on my skin. So Laura Mercier has just released some eyeliners in some different colors. And what I realized is that these are really exactly like the eyeliners that I have been really enjoying the most from the company Caliray and also from the company Rowan. And it looks to me like they have exactly the same ingredient lists, and they're both from Italy. And they both come in plastic pencils that can be sharpened. And so I think that these are all from the same company, and we're basically talking the same formula, just the colors are different. And I do like the Laura Mercier colors. There's a little bit more variety, so I'm happy to see that. So I tried this on in the color that I bought from Laura Mercier, which is the color Bronze. And then you can also see me put on the color the dark brown color in the Rowan formula. And I think that all of these should be considered to be basically interchangeable with one another. So it's really what pencil color you like the most. Now, what is strange to me is that while the Caliray and the Rowan pencils both say that they have a usage life of 24 months, this Laura Mercier pencil is only saying that it has a usage life of 6 months. And I don't see why that would be, because it has the same ingredient list and it's being used pretty much exactly the same way. I think that there's a lot of discretion on the part of the makeup companies in terms of how long they say that they want to tell you that their product is going to be good. I think that for some companies, they don't want people coming back to them and saying that this eye pencil is not working as well as it used to because it got dried up after 18 months. I don't really think there's any difference in terms of how long this pencil is going to last. That sounds unlikely. So I haven't had any of these pencils for more than a year yet, and they've all worked really fine for me so far. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they will all last for quite a while longer. But so far I've really enjoyed them, and they're by far the best eye pencils that I have found. Now Lisa Eldridge is now introducing her own new eye pencils, which look kind of similar to these, but which do have different ingredients. She has her own formulator on staff, so maybe hers will be even better. I'm really looking forward to getting those and trying them out. But so far, I think that all 3 of these pencils have been terrific for me. And another product that I've been using quite a bit recently is this new pressed powder from Laura Mercier, which is called the Real Flawless Luminous Perfecting Pressed Powder. It was released at about the same time as that foundation, and I think they're kind of designed to go together. But I have been really happy with this powder in general, and I've been using it quite a bit. I think it's very versatile in the way that the Kosas powder is versatile. It seems to work for a variety of foundations very, very well. This one does have a little bit of cornstarch in it, and I think that it might be therefore better in the summer when I'm sweating a bit more, that it's more likely to be absorbing the oil and the sweat on my face. So that's why I've been using it recently. But in general, I've been really happy with this powder. I have this in the color Translucent Honey. They actually are recommending a more of a white powder for my skin tone, but I don't really like putting white powder on my face all that much. And I think this Translucent Honey color has worked really, really well for me. And I was a little bit afraid at the beginning that it might have been a little bit irritating to my skin, but I don't think that's been the case at all recently. I think it's been working great for me. So another really new product from Laura Mercier is this liquid highlighter, and it comes in 3 shades, and it has a little sponge at the top that you can dot it onto your face and then blend it in. And I think that this has been really pretty for me. It just provides just a little, I have the peach version of this, and it provides just a little bit of color and a highlight that's not too bright on the skin. Now, I think that a lot of people probably will say that this is just a copy of the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light Wands, which is true. I mean, it's exactly the same. I think the way that this works is not that this company is stealing it per se. I think that what happens is that Charlotte Tilbury goes to the factory in Italy that has the makeup formulator, and they purchase it, and if they want to have exclusive rights, then they have to pay extra for it. So apparently Laura Mercier was also able to purchase the same formula from this company, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think that this is a really pretty product. I think that this one might be slightly less sparkly than the Charlotte Tilbury one, and I think that that's okay. I don't think that I want anything that's really sparkly. The reason that I like products like this is because I feel like they serve as a good combination of blush and highlighter, and that it's something that I can just throw in my face in a couple of seconds and then be done, because I'm really trying to streamline things. And I've had really good luck with both this one and with the Charlotte Tilbury. So I have this one, which is in actually another new color called Pinkgasm Sunset, which I think is super pretty. And maybe I'll try a little bit of that on for you as well. But I think that this one from Charlotte Tilbury is the color that I like the most, because it actually has a little bit more blush to it, and it's kind of a apricot-y pink type color that I think is really super pretty also. So I like both of these products. So far I haven't had any problems with either of them. I'm not sure how long that they will last. I've had pretty good luck with both these and with the matte blush from Charlotte Tilbury so far. And so I've been happy with the performance, but some people don't think that they perform all that well. So we'll see how it goes. But I think that this is a really nice product, and it hasn't irritated my skin at all, so I've been really happy about that. Now I also have a little sample of the Laura Mercier blush, which is called Blush Color Infusion in the color Rosé. So I put a little bit of this on as well. This is a blush that I haven't really used very much. I think it's a nice formula, and I think this color is very pretty. It is an older formula, and it does have talc in it, and so this is something that I am not all that inclined to use all that much, and I think that there are a lot of other really good powder blush on the market, but I think that this product is fine. And the main concern with talc is if it happened to be contaminated with asbestos, that you don't want to be breathing in very much of it, and I don't think you would breathe in any of this powder blush on this from Laura Mercier, because it's such a fine powder that goes on so discreetly that I really don't see that there's going to be any fallout with this one. And in terms of mascara, I've been just trying to use one mascara at a time recently, unless I'm really trying something out, because I'm trying to only use mascaras for a month or two before I throw them out, because at one point I did get an eye infection from a mascara that I was using. So the one that I really like the most is this Caliray mascara, which is called Come Hell or High Water. It's a tubing mascara. I feel like it goes on really easily. It doesn't look very like I'm wearing mascara so much as just that my eyelashes are a little bit darker, which I think is nice. I would prefer kind of a more casual and natural mascara look. And it washes off really easily with hot water, and I have not had any problems with it at all. And I like the fact that it comes in these little tubes so that I can switch them out a lot more often. I think this is $13, and I got a bunch of them for free as well. And then in terms of lipstick, Laura Mercier has an older lipstick formula that's based on silicone that I like quite a bit. I have just this one lipstick, and it's called A la Rose. It's supposed to be a dirty rose color, and I think it's kind of on the cool side for me, but I think it's a nice lipstick. There's no scent in it. I think that the taste has been fine. I think it performs pretty well. I think it's kind of expensive. I think it's $36. So I think that's kind of a lot. I would much rather have a Lisa Eldridge lipstick than one of these, but I've been happy with this, and I wouldn't mind another shade or two in it. So now let's do a quick overview of some of the other products that Laura Mercier offers. So for quite a long time, I have been a big fan of Laura Mercier's eyeshadow sticks. And I really like eyeshadow sticks in general, because I think that of all of the ways that I have to put eyeshadow on my eyes, that this is one of the quickest ways that I can create a really pretty look. And she offers a whole bunch of different eyeshadows, and these have been out for quite a while. These do include some cyclic silicones in them, which would make them not eligible to be sold either as clean at Sephora or by Credo. So they're particularly concerned with that ingredient, apparently because they're afraid that there might be contamination with solvent chemicals maybe in it. But EWG does not rate this particular kind of cyclic silicone that's in these eyeshadows as very problematic at all. They only give it a 3 on their scale. I have never found these particular eyeshadows to be irritating to my eyes at all. Apparently, a few of the colors do contain aluminum powder, but fortunately, Laura Mercier does tell you the exact ingredients that are in each color, and I'm not sure if any of the eyeshadows now have the aluminum powder in them. But in any case, if I'm going to think about purchasing a new shadow from them, then I make sure to look at that ingredient list to make sure that there's no aluminum powder in it. And otherwise, I feel that the ingredients have been fine for me. These have not irritated my eyes at all, and I feel like they performed really well. If I compare them to the Victoria Beckham sticks, I like those a lot also. So I think that these are fairly interchangeable as far as I'm concerned in terms of the functionality, and that the real question is which color I'm really wanting to get. They split off the ones that are in their RoseGlow line, but they're basically exactly the same formula. They're just in slightly different packaging. And I feel like these are fairly easy to blend. So in the past, all of the shimmer products and the matte products from Laura Mercier, they all used to have the same formula. But just a couple of months ago, Laura Mercier reformulated just the matte ones. And the matte ones now do not have that cyclic silicone in them anymore. They have just dimethicone in them. And so I think that they really are performing fairly similarly to before, but I think they're reminding me a little bit more of the Merit shadows in terms of their texture. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I like the Merit shadows as well. Of course, those are in a pot. The one thing that does concern me is that, like the Merit shadows, these new shadows from Laura Mercier have only a 6-month usage life that is being promised, whereas the old Laura Mercier shadow sticks had an 18-month usage life. And I think that that's much more reasonable. I think that for me, purchasing an eyeshadow of this kind or an eyeshadow stick, or a pot eyeshadow like the ones that Merit is selling, I think 6 months is a ridiculously short amount of time. And then if it gets dried out within 6 months, I'm going to be kind of irritated. So we will see how that goes, but I really hope that they last for more than 6 months. That would be very frustrating to me if they don't. In this video footage, I'm using the color Sepia and showing you what it looks like on its own. I think that it goes on a little bit more neatly than the Merit shadows. I think the Merit shadows are a little bit more smudgy looking, which is kind of a look, and it might be a look that sometimes I prefer. But I think that this is very pretty also, and I think that this does work really well as the basis for a powder eyeshadow. So I put a little bit of the powder eyeshadow from the Japan in Bloom kit on the top of that. I use the brighter and shimmery pink color, and I think it looks really pretty together. So I think that you can continue to use this product as a base for eyeshadow, but I just hope it lasts for a while. And then another product that Laura Mercier came out with maybe 5 or 6 months ago is a new loose powder. So this is called the Ultra Blur Talc-Free loose powder, and I have the shade Translucent. Now this is not really a replacement for their old powder, but I think that what they want to do is to offer a really good loose powder as an alternative to their super popular but really problematic in terms of the ingredient list, their traditional translucent loose setting powder, which is very, very popular. I think that that may be one of their most popular products and certainly a big moneymaker for them. But it does include loose talc, which people consider to be an issue because you don't want to be breathing in the talc if it happens to contain asbestos, and they don't seem to be providing a lot of assurance that it wouldn't be contaminated with the asbestos. They're not bringing that up at all. And it also has 3 different parabens in it, including two parabens that EWG considers to be really problematic. And I didn't realize it had all that stuff in it the first time I tried the product, and I was just kind of amazed at how quickly my skin reacted to it. So for this new powder, it has a much better ingredient list. I wouldn't say that it was perfect, but I think it's better. And I have been able to use it. It might have been a little bit irritating to my face. I haven't been real inclined to keep going back to it for that reason, but it certainly is much better than the old powder. And it seems to be getting pretty good reviews from just ordinary people that are only caring about performance. So I think that probably eventually Laura Mercier will try to move more of their business towards this talc-free version, and I'm happy about that because I think it's a much better product. Early in 2022, I think, Laura Mercier came out with a couple of other liquid products. There's a tinted moisturizer bronzer for $30, and then there's also a tinted moisturizer blush. I have never purchased this, but I have played with them in the Sephora store. I was really interested in the tinted moisturizer bronzer when I was looking at the new Jones Road liquid bronzers and comparing them, and I felt like that product from Laura Mercier was much different than the Jones Road one. The Jones Road has a clear base to it that makes me be able to put it on my face and just have it really disappear into my skin and look very, very natural, whereas the Laura Mercier one, it's more like a a foundation product that happens to be kind of on the bronzy side, so it's more opaque. I find that it's much harder to get a natural look, and I kind of feel like the same thing is the case with the blush as well. That when I use a liquid blush, usually I'm expecting it to be like the Glossier Cloud Paints, which disappear into my skin really easily and look like a very natural flush, and I feel like the Laura Mercier one was a little bit heavier. And I wasn't that crazy about all the ingredients that were in it. I didn't find that either of those products irritated my skin based on the times that I tried it in the store. But based on the ingredient list and my few samples with the product, I haven't actually purchased it. But it could be a product to consider. I'm not saying you shouldn't go look at it. And then I also have two newer lip products from Laura Mercier. So the first one is a lip crayon, and I have this in the color Chloe, which is pretty bright. So I will put that on for you now. So this is a product that is in plastic, and then you can screw it out and make, and there's quite a lot of product in here. So let's try putting this on. So I'm usually kind of a fan of lip crayons in general because I feel like they make it much easier for me to create a lip that looks neat and that sometimes will stay in place, but that's not real dramatic looking. And I feel like that's the case with this product too, that it is a fairly bright color, but it stays in place pretty easily and it looks pretty on the muted side. So I probably should use this lip crayon a little bit more. I'm not sure if I'm liking this color on me so much, but maybe I will see if they have any colors that are more suited to me. I'd have to be wearing like the right thing to wear this color. But in general, I think this is a really good formula. It tastes really good to me. I think that it lasts pretty well, and I'm really kind of impressed with this, and I think I'm going to look into it a bit more. And then the final product that I have is a new soft lipstick that is called the High Vibe Lip Color, and I have this in the color Dash, which is pretty bright, so I will try putting it on and you can see what you think. So this is very hydrating and it has some good hydrating ingredients in it. But I would say that compared to the crayon, I am much, much less enthusiastic about this product, primarily because of the taste. So it has vanillin in it, and then it has an unspecified flavor in it, which usually makes me a little bit nervous, but I decided to try this anyway. So I really don't like the taste of this, and I'm not sure if what I don't like is the flavor itself or if it's something that the flavor is covering over. But in any case, I'm really not happy about the taste of it. And I also feel like it's a little bit on the messy side. So all of the colors that they're offering seem to be fairly bright. And I feel like just putting it on now, it doesn't look great like now, just putting it on. And I think that over time, when I've worn it, it tends to start to look messy and like get outside of my lip lines. And that's not a look I'm really crazy about. I do feel like it has some good hydrating ingredients in it. So if that's what you're really looking for, is a bright lip that's a little bit on the messy side and that will take care of your lips, then maybe that would be okay if you don't mind the taste. But I don't really see myself wearing this one. I did get this little sample and it gave me 3 more colors to look at, so I can show you those colors swatched on my hand. The one on the top is called Peak, and then the one in the middle is called Burst, and then the one at the bottom is called Blaze. So I think that those are all fairly bright colors for a soft lipstick like this. And that if I'm going to wear a soft lipstick like this, I kind of prefer it to be colors that are more muted or softer or more neutral so that they don't look quite so messy. But that's just me. So that's all the Laura Mercier products that I have tried. And if there are any others that you have had good experiences with, then please let me know so I can give them a try myself. In addition, if you have yet to subscribe to the channel, then I hope you will go ahead and do that. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching all the way to the end of the video. And Coco and I love you very much. Goodbye.
La ba da la la